next stop, Brooklyn basketball, episode 5, where if you don't know, now you know, 99% Brooklyn Nets. Then we got 1% other things that I could throw in there and talk about. So once again, this is episode 5. I'm gonna do a straight recording this time. I'm still trying to figure out this whole podcast thing, but if you guys notice, I got the Brooklyn Nets flag in the background. If you saw the first 4 episodes, I had the Mets flag in the background. So I'm sharpening it up. I'm working on it. I'm trying to make it something a little happy. You know what I mean? So if you like it, I hope you stick through and stay with me for all these episodes and all these future episodes and stuff like that. But if you like what you hear, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, share with your friends, hit the subscribe button. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing this because I'm a Nets fan. I'm doing this because I appreciate talking Nets basketball. I love sports, and it'd be a dream of mine too. Maybe one day be one of those guys who could talk Nets basketball for the majority of my time, and be able to go to games freely and stuff like that. Because I do work on the ambulance and the 911 system in New York City, and I love what I do, but I just love sports that much more. But always wanted to do something like this. So once again, I appreciate you guys sticking with me, listening to me. I think I'm around like 50 views on each video, which is great for me. Something I never thought I would do. Never thought I would get. Got a few likes on each video, so appreciate you. One love, and let's keep growing. You know what I mean? With that said, we're gonna shake this one up a little bit. We're gonna talk about different things. We got the draft happening. Not gonna spend time really talking about what I think is gonna happen in the draft, because to be honest with you, I'm not one of those guys who pay attention to much about the draft unless it has to do with the Nets. And as you know, we took the 23rd pick that Philly had and said, we think y'all gonna suck and we're gonna take y'all pick next year. So we'll see how that works out. Fingers crossed. And then there's always that possibility of trading up. But there's a lot more stories happening right now. A lot more stories happening right now. So if you watch the first 4 episodes, I introduce myself, then in the next 3, I talk about each position, the 5, the 4, the 3, and today we're going to talk about the 2, potential for what the Nets have and potential for what the Nets could do. So we're going to share that. We're going to talk about, there's been a lot of chatter on the block, so we're going to do that. And, we're going to talk about Nets draft picks. My favorite Nets draft pick of all time. I think mine is pretty simple guy. Maybe something that people won't expect. I'm 32, so I'm going for what I watched as a Nets fan, as far as the draft pick goes. And the reality is there's not that many to pick from a person of my age, just like growing up and watching. But my pick might surprise some people. My pick might not. Like I said, it's a podcast with my opinion, and I appreciate you guys watching with my opinion. And also, speaking of which, I got the white Henney. Shout outs to those living large with some white Henney. It's a nice podcast. We're going to make this one happen tonight. So, with that said, without further ado, let's get right into it. Word on the block for this whole week. The block's been hot with the Brooklyn Nets. The block's been pretty hot, man. Now the June 29th is right here, so we already know what's about to go down, and that's the whole Kyrie Irving situation. If you don't know my feelings on Kyrie Irving, because you haven't watched my first 4 videos, I'll do a little dive into it for you once again, because we get to know each other. And my view on Kyrie Irving is not that view of what I've been reading a lot from Nets fans and other Nets podcasts hearing and stuff like that. Like, I'm a fan of the guy's game, but I'm not a fan of the guy. If you watch any of my other podcasts, and I'm gonna stop saying that, but if you watch, maybe you know what? Click on my thing, go watch the other podcasts. But I'm gonna bring you up to speed. I talk about how disappointed I was from when the Nets signed Kyrie, and then Kyrie, you can say what you want to say, but Kyrie forced Kenny Atkinson out. I don't like it. Never liked it. Was never a fan of it. Bothered me, and it felt so much Billy King like from there. And people disagree with me. People call me stupid. It is what it is. Internet, y'all hurtful motherfucker place, man. But it is what it is. I'm gonna cry. Never. I'm gonna keep that opinion though. I'm gonna keep that opinion. You know what I mean? I don't. I never thought it was a good fit when he came to Brooklyn, man. I felt like there was so many more options to go to, and perfect example for me was Jimmy Butler. I thought Jimmy Butler was the guy to go after for the Nets. I thought he was that piece. Him and Tobias Harris, along with that core that we had, that we grew, because we grew the core, man. We had Marks built us back from the dead. Marks did such a great job, man. Kenny Atkinson led that team with such. He made that team his. And granted, we went from shooting like the most threes I've ever seen the Nets shoot, man. But Kenny did his thing, man. He put in the work. He did his thing. And, we saw, speaking of Kenny, we saw him turn down which was weird, the Hornets contract. After saying that he was gonna get it, and he's gonna stay with Golden State. So good for him. Shout out to my Miz, man. I wish nothing but the best for that guy. And he was a New York native too, Long Island guy, if I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah, man. So word on the block is the Nets is. Oh, that's gross. What am I saying, guys? I'm supposed to be professional. It's a podcast, right? Anyway, the Nets are on different wavelengths than what Kyrie's on. Word on the block, the Nets want a short, incentive based deal. Kyrie, Kyrie wants a long. Kyrie wants a supermax. Kyrie doesn't deserve a supermax from no team. He's proven nothing from no team. If he deserved a supermax, Boston would have gave him that supermax. You know what I mean? And to me, great player, probably one of the best point guards we've seen play the game, but he doesn't deserve a supermax because he's an unreliable player for the past 3 years. Once again, you guys can come out here and we could talk about the mandate. The mandate's what screwed it up. You can't blame Kyrie for the mandate. Yes, I can. You know why? You know why I can blame for the mandate? Because everybody else had to get the vaccine. I had to get the vaccine to keep my job. Every other basketball player got the vaccine to keep their job. Kyrie went on this heroic thing of being for the people. I would have been cool with that had when they dropped the mandate for the athletes. If he would have said, you know what, I still got EMS, I still got firefighters, I still got PD. There's still guys out there still fighting for their job because they haven't gotten the vaccine. I'm not gonna play till you allow all them to work. Then you know what, Kyrie, I stand with you, my brother. It's solid, you know what I mean? But you ain't do that. Kyrie didn't do that. Kyrie said, okay, I'll go back and play. So all that heroic shit he was talking, I don't think this is what people understand where I'm coming from, because I work at EMS. I've seen people lose their jobs and all that. Regardless of why I stand on it, doesn't really matter, but it's just the principle. The principality of everything that was done over the course of this whole thing was insane. And that's not even talking about the whole couple week hiatus where team ain't know where he was, anything like that. They never got in contact with him. It's like the Nets have been in the news for the wrong thing consistently ever since Kyrie came to this team, man. And I don't think that's a coincidence, to be honest with you. And call me a hater, man. I said I love the guy's game. I love Kyrie's game. But I'm not I'm I'm not giving him a supermax. And that leads me to now, people are going at KD. Oh well, just to backtrack a little bit. Now they're talking about there's on Twitter people talking about um Kyrie was holding his own practices after National Habit practice. You never know what to believe with Twitter. So I wouldn't, being what Kyrie has shown his 3 years here, I want to put it past him that that's what he did. And if that's what he did, he ain't it, man. He ain't about this team. He's about himself, and he's undermining a guy who's a first time head coach and trying to build a system. And I'm so over this freaking headline, my guys, my ladies, my guys. I'm so over this headline of Kyrie Irving, and now it's like, well, we want to keep KD happy. Like, fuck it, KD 30. What? He's going to KD about to be 35. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now. KD is. I got you. Sportstrack.com. That's usually why I go to everything. KD's 33. 15 years in the league, 33. By the time next season comes, he can be 34. KD's old, man. KD's he's an amazing player. I was happy when he came to the Nets. Although I kind of saw it was about to go down. But, you know, this whole Super Friends thing, it's like, well, you got to keep KD happy. Like, maybe Durant should understand. Like, he had, and I said this before. Durant has a chance to do something that a lot of people don't get the chance to do in New York. Nets win a ring and become a legend. If you look at that, that's kind of been the story. Like that, you win a ring in any sport, you become a legend. And just to talk about other sports, Eli Manning. Like, granted, I'm a Bills fan. I still think they're New Jersey team, but we'll talk New York metropolitan area. Eli Manning won a ring, 2 rings. He's a legend in New York sports, and I think that might hold more than what anybody else thinks. Because at the end of the day, this is the mecca of sports. This is the mecca of the world. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But KD has a chance to do something that this city needs, and that's a basketball championship. I feel like with although this is a Knicks town, and I think anybody who doesn't believe that uh, is smoking crack. Although this is a Knicks town, this city's waiting for either a baseball or a basketball championship. And we even saw with the Rangers in the recent playoffs when they was in the finals, the conference finals, um, how much New York got behind them. Like, New York's ready to get behind somebody. And granted, we have clearer lines with the Mets and Yankees, Rangers, Islanders, Devils, but with the Knicks and the Nets, it's not as clear lines as people think they are. Like, you have your diehard Knicks fans, but then you got people like Spike Lee going into the Barclay and rocking the Brooklyn Dodgers shirt and say, hey, I'm representing, for Brooklyn or whatever. Like, people are hurting for an NBA championship here, and Katie has a chance to do something incredibly special, incredibly special. I don't think he understands that. So, you know, I believe it was Barkley that went at KD, and then Chris Carlin, one of the talk show hosts, local talk show hosts here, went at KD about being an alpha. And KD be sensitive. He mean his feelings a lot, man. But anyway, he turned around and was like, well, what's an alpha, whatever. Like, my feelings towards KD is, was he a big reason why Golden State won those couple championships? I believe it was with him. Yeah, it was two. Yeah, he was a big reason. Steph Curry stepped to the side. He let KD take that, man. But him joining a team that beat him, that won 73 games, or however many games they won, that'll forever, I think, will be in the back of people's minds. And I think him being here could change that narrative so much, so much. And with this whole butt buddy thing of like, if Kyrie's not here, he might not want to be here, or Kyrie has, like, he has to understand, man. Kyrie hasn't been good for business. It's been 3 years. It's been 3 years, and the Nets haven't done nothing. Granted, they were a toe, a size 20 shoe away from going into the NBA Finals, but it's not how it works, man. There's no what ifs in basketball. It's either you got it or you don't. And the reality is they haven't had it. And then you get swept by the seas. It just hasn't worked, man. It hasn't worked. And people talking about, oh well, if Kyrie isn't here, then you kiss goodbye to KD. And I'm like, all right, sign on, man, because you trade KD, you get a fast rebuild. You could get players, picks, you get a whole roster if you wanted to for KD. Because teams are desperate like that. But I said this in my last video, was that seeing teams built organically, there's a chance to do this again. Is to build to build organically again. So a sign and trade. It seems like whatever happens with Kyrie, a kind of sign and trade is inevitable, and I think that's a build. That's those are building blocks to a better future. I think a sign and trade with Kyrie. Don't quote me on what it's gonna get now, but it gets you picks. It gets you veterans. It gets you players. Because right now, what the Nets don't have is players on their team because they have no cap space. Everybody's gonna be mid-level exceptions, the vet minimums. You can't really go nowhere with anything. But June 29th is the deadline for that. Kind of sick of talking about this whole Kyrie thing, and I just hope it, one way or another, maybe he gets a 1 year deal and we can move on and we'll figure it out from there. He'll show out. Maybe he won't. Maybe I don't know. Or maybe he don't get nothing and we do the sign and trade and then it's a new beginning for the Nets and KD stays. Or maybe KD goes and we just so many different possibilities. So it brings me to the next word on the block, that word in the streets, aka Twitter. Nick Claxton. The Nets aren't gonna match whatever they're gonna offer Nick Claxton. How do we feel about that? Me? Not mad. A fit Dayron Sharp is better than Claxton in my opinion. Claxton had his opportunities to show that he could be the guy, and I think they wanted him to be the guy, but between free throws and just shooting, it just seemed like he wasn't that guy. You know what I mean? And like I said, if you watch my episode about the fives, I'd rather see them allot that money to Andre Drummond and have Dayron Sharp in the background if they're gonna re-sign anybody. Um, I thought that they was gonna. I originally the report was they were gonna match up to 12 mil. I saw that on Twitter through one of the guys with the check marks, but that wasn't the case. So now the new report is that they're not gonna give him any. They don't want to match it at all. So it's neither here nor there. It seems like the Claxton era in Brooklyn is about to be over. So we have that. Steve Nash is still the coach. I don't know how the fuck Steve Nash is still the coach. I had this argument on Facebook with somebody about they was like how Sean Marks um is a terrible GM, and I gotta say, if you think Sean Marks is a terrible GM, just adding to my word on the blog, if you think Sean Marks is a terrible GM, you're gonna have to come see me. Because while Sean Marks did a lot of Billy King-esque shit, I think the real Sean Marks that we saw, and I think that he regrets, is what he did to build that 42 and 40 team. When we had Russell, when we had Allen, when we had LeVert, Dwayne Diddy, like he made that team made play. That team gave players contracts. You know what I mean? And then with the draft picks of trading back in and getting the Rondé Hollis Jefferson, who was a contributor for a little bit of time. Just finding the diamond in the roughs to compete with Brooklyn, and to bring us back to a place of respectability. Um, it's I don't feel like Marks deserves the slang that he got. I think he let these superstars get into his head. He tried to make him happy. And hindsight 2020, as much as it bothers me, it is what it is. It is what it is. He try to get a super team instead of building it organically. It just hasn't worked. And I just want it to be all over. So with the news and with that, the news of Nick Claxton probably not getting anything matched by the Nets. We have gaps, ladies and gentlemen. So we have huge gaps to fill, and that's at the 5, that's at the 4, that's gonna be now at the 2, and potentially the 1. I think even if Kyrie stays, we still have gaps at the 2 and the 1. Joe Harris has to come back healthy, but like I said, for me, you keep Andre Drummond if Kyrie stays. Just to recap, you keep Andre Drummond if Kyrie stays. At the 4, the point forward could be Ben Simmons. You have KD at the 3. There's so many options at the 2. A healthy Joe Harris probably play the 2 because he's making about 18 a year right now, even though Bruce Brown is a candidate to be brought back to be signed. I don't know how the Nets... I haven't heard much about how the Nets feel about him, but I want to be surprised to see him back because he did develop. I know we have Cam Thomas, who showed some spark in his rookie year. So there's options there. There's options there at the 2. But before I deep dive into the 2, I just want to we have the NBA draft upon us on Thursday, and it's just one of these times I could come back and just be like, yo, who was my favorite pick of all time? And I don't think it's that difficult to know who my favorite pick of all time was, but actually it's a close it's closer than what I thought it would be. I know I said it was kind of deep, but it's also closer than what I thought it would be. But Brook Lopez is that guy for me. Brook Lopez was a guy, we saw come in who just seemed to be like a clumsy guy, but he dominated the boards. And, just going year by year what he did with the Nets his first year, it's insane how his 3 point his 3 point percentage like just changed so much. But he's a guy first year who played all 82, 13 points a game. Then the year after that, 18, 20. Like he became from 08 to 7 to 16, 17, he was the focal point for the Nets. And he's a guy that I wish we never would have let go. I know we drafted Jared Allen. We traded him, we drafted Jared Allen, and that was kind of a replacement. But now that we have no big, and Brook Lopez is, in my opinion, I watched a couple games he had in Milwaukee, and I appreciate his game, man. That's a guy that continues. Brook Lopez is a guy who continuously evolved. No matter who was the coach, he was the guy who played into the system. And I think nothing says it better than when Kenny Atkinson took over the Nets and the dude learned how to shoot a 3-pointer. I don't think nobody ever thought that David would have saw Brook Lopez shoot a 3-pointer. And lo and behold, some bitch started shooting threes from the corner. And then it was 1 3, then it was 2 threes, then it would start going down, and it's like, yo, my man was looking to right, man. And just looking at the field goal percentage, for example. So I'm gonna go over his years with the Nets. Just rapid. So it's from 08 to 16, 17. Field goal percentage 531, 499, 492, 494, 521, 563, 513, 511, 474. Now here's his 3-point percentage. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 100, 143, 346. Like my man showed strides in his game, and then the rebounds. I think that was like the one game that we wish we saw more of him because he was such a big guy. But like I said, he was more like a goofy big, if that made sense. Like not a dominant big, but he's a guy that you can rely on, but not to be like he wasn't the strong, tall big, if that makes sense. I don't even know if that just makes sense. It's not. It might be the way handed, but it is what it is. Like I said, Kenyon Martin, I think is a close second for me. I'm gonna get you the stats real quick because I can't tell me off the top of my head. Can't say it off the top of my head, but so Kenyon Martin, remember him with the New Jersey Nets. Even though he was only there for 4 years before he went to Denver, Kenyon Martin is a guy who averaged 14. He's 14 and 5, 16 and 9, 16, about 17 and 10. Like Kenyon Martin was a pivotal part of those teams we had in New Jersey when we had Kittles. Kittles was another draft pick. Kid, RJ, VC. Kenyon Martin was that guy, man. I think we took that for granted. And when he went to Denver, granted, I don't think he was the same player when he went to Denver than when he was with New Jersey, but he fit the system, man, and he was good. He was good, and I missed him. I sorely missed him. But yeah, so Brook Lopez and Kenyon Martin, my top 2 favorite picks of all time. I know there's going to be guys, like I said, I'm 32. I started watching Nets basketball during the kid era. That's when I became like super interested in basketball. Like I was always a baseball dude, but as I got a little around the kid era is when I started. I was like, yo, basketball's dope. So like I get behind the Jersey Nets, man. And yeah, Kenyon Martin was that guy, man. So hey, leave in the comments maybe who was your favorite draft pick that you got to see. Maybe you've been a Nets fan since the beginning of the time. You've been watching since they had Julius Erving or whatever. You know what I mean? Maybe just let me know. Let me know what you think. So it's good luck to all the kids that are about to get drafted. It's a life-changing thing, man, and like I said, it's hard for me. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know that. And the same with football. Like I could watch football. I could watch the Bills till I'm blue in the fucking eyes or have blue in the face. I could watch Mets baseball till I'm blue in the face. I could watch Nets basketball till I'm blue in the face. But the reality is when it comes to prospects, I'm not. I don't know much about them. Like when the time comes, that's when I start like reading and watching and like watching film and stuff like that. But like before that, I don't watch much college sports. I know Chet Holmgren. because that was like a big name with Gonzaga. So good luck to all them, man, and I'm gonna be paying attention, because Woj on Twitter drops to everything like oh, 2 hours before the pick is even made. So maybe the Nets do a nice sign and trade for tomorrow night. Agree to do that and get something early in the draft. Who knows? Maybe still number 4 away from I know the Knicks are eyeing that spot. Get Ivy, bring him back to New York. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting, man. But I know they're looking more towards the older heads. And another word on the block, PJ Tucker, middle of an exception. He just didn't take the player option with the Heat, which I'm shocked. I'm truly shocked about that because the Heat had the squad. I thought he was a big part of that. Watching him in the playoffs and to see him not take that, maybe he'll sign for a bigger deal. Um, but that's a vet that you want on your team. PJ Tucker is a vet that you want on your team. Maybe he wants to go back to Milwaukee. Maybe that's why he's doing what he's doing. But I went over my 4 position, so go back. I think that was episode 3 when I talked about the 4. So let's go listen about the 4. I'm not gonna change my stance too much about that. So without further ado, while we're here, we're gonna talk about the 2 position, right? Joe Harris, we know was hurt. He's coming back. He's making 18 mil. He's not going nowhere for 18 mil unless we trade him. We got Seth Curry. Seth Curry's making about 9 mil. And then we got Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is the young kid, and we got Bruce Brown on top of that. Like there's not much. There's not much really to do at the 2, to be honest with you. Being with the guys we have on the roster, I like Seth Curry. I'm a big Seth Curry guy. I think if you watch the progression of Seth Curry, he's become a better player every single year that he's played in the league. I think his numbers show that. I think that's something. I'm gonna go to the numbers for you guys. Let me go to the numbers. Hold on, I got you. I'm on my handy dandy. Well, I broke my laptop, so my son's iPad actually. So shout out to my 2-year-old son for letting me use his iPad while he's doing nap time. But let's see. We're gonna Steph Curry. But yeah, Seth is steadily became a better player. I think he's a real likable guy. He's been a journeyman. He's a guy who, ever since he was with Dallas at age 29, he's just progressed. He's just, for some reason, he found it. He knows what's going on, and he's just gotten better and better and better. And with Brooklyn, he actually had his best. When he was with Brooklyn for the 19 games, he showed his best kind of stats from the 3. He was at 468 for the clip. On the 3-point, 529, which isn't his best, but that's up there with, I think that I'm looking right now. That's damn near his top. You know what I mean? And lifetime, he's a 439 shooter from 3. He's a 515 shooter from mid range from the 2. Average 11 points lifetime, but he's a deadly guy, man. And that long range shot is being deadly. So you think about it with shooters. We have Joe Harris. We have Seth Curry. Cam Thomas is going to keep developing, and the 2 for me is kind of a bright spot for the Nets right now. Although Seth Curry's, although Joe Harris is getting up there, and I feel like his game has changed a little bit. Watching him with KD and Kyrie, I feel like he's not that same guy that we saw grow with the Brooklyn Nets before that contract. That's just my opinion. It just seems different to me, and I know it's also Steve Nash is a big reason for that. Maybe he just doesn't fit what Steve Nash does. I don't like what Steve Nash does anyway. I still can't believe he's a coach, but that's neither here nor there. So here's a 1% because this free agent list is insane for the 2 guard. Bradley Beal, Gary Harris, Zach LaVine, Jeremy Lamb, Lou Williams, Josh Jackson, Bruce Brown Jr., Jarrett Culver, and Wayne Ellington is another guy. Victor Oladipo, who's still trying to find his glory days. That's a deep 2 guard spot, and I think, honestly, keep it buck, man. If Zach and Kyrie will agree to do like signing trades. Although I know it'd be impossible to kind of do a signing trade with Chicago because fuck Chicago. Never been in the city. I'm just talking about the Bulls in general. Um, Fucking hate you guys for that beating us when we had Paul Pierce and KG and them come to Brooklyn. But I'll be a sick trader to Zach LaVine come to the Nets and send Kyrie over there to work with the Ball brother, Lonzo Ball. That's just fantasy. I know that's not gonna happen, but I wouldn't mind it. Yo, imagine Andre Drummond at the 5, Ben Simmons at the point forward 4. We got Katie, the Ranchler, the Killer, whatever you want to call him, at the 3. Zach at the 2. The one will figure that out at that point. We'll figure that out. We might even let Zach run the 1. Matter of fact, if you can bring in a Montrezl Harrell, we'll figure out, I'll bring back Uncle Jeff, let him take the 4, and just put Ben back at the 1 and let him just distribute and tell him, yo, you don't got to shoot for shit. Just do your thing, bro. Just do your thing and passing and running and slashing and getting the reads and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's I'm trying. It's interesting, man. I'm sorry. I just got alert. I was reading something. But yeah, so like the 2 guard, man, it's gonna be an interesting off season. It's gonna be an interesting off season because there's a bunch of free agents and not that much free money because these guys. Bradley Beal opting out. That man's gonna want max dollars, and there's not many teams that have max money. This is gonna be a sign and trade type of off season. Like this is to me. In this moment, I probably would say this is probably one of the more crazy off seasons in the NBA as a whole because I don't know if Zach LaVine wants to stay in Chicago. I know there's been a lot of talk about in the past Chicago trading him or him looking for something else, something different. Bradley Beal opting out. I feel like Bill definitely wants something different. And there's just so much. Let me go to Bill stats. Yeah, there's just so much possible movement that could happen, man. And I'm excited for the offseason. First time since the Nets went 42-40 and fucked it all up. Like I'm excited for offseason. And I think this Kyrie shit is making it more exciting for me. All I need is June 29th to come so we get the decision. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So there's a lot of word on the blocks. Like I said, there's a lot of talk in the streets. Katie going back and forth on Twitter, man. I hate people bashing Marks. I explain my viewpoint on Marks. I feel like I talk about this fucking Kyrie shit so much. But at the end of the day, it feels like we can't make any moves until the Kyrie thing is done. You know what I mean? Until the Kyrie thing is figured out. Like, that's the main priority. And the things that the Nets, as we sit, let me tell you right now. Oh, no. As we sit, right, on the roster. This is all we have on the roster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys on the roster. 2 of those guys are going to play an option. Patty Mills, I think, option takes the player option. Because I don't see where he gets $6 million from anywhere else, and that's like John Wall type money for him. Where you don't have to do much and you just make all the money in the world. Make millions. Granted, the John Wall situation. By the way, John Wall, man. You know what John remind me of? Just to kind of like, not to go, remind me of Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford used to get the bag, yo. I remember when he signed that 1 year, $20 million deal with the Cards, and I think he only played like 1 game, and that was it, son. Like, and it was guaranteed money. Like, my son used to get the bag, man. That's what John Wall doing. He's getting that 41 mil, 31, probably not gonna play most of the season, be hurt, and it's gonna be wild, son. It's gonna be, oh man, there's so much going on. But as I said, I'm doing a night podcast tonight because I put my little man to sleep. So I figure it'd be a little easier to do it before the Thursday. And I feel like I just want to get a few things off my chest. Like I said, with the two guard is pretty self-explanatory for what we got. I know, I think Bruce Brown is an option to be brought back because Bruce could also play the 3. And I think versatility is key. Versatility is key. So there's a lot of there's there might not be a lot of movement at the two for the Nets. I don't see it. Um, I don't I don't see a reason for movement at the two. I think finding the big is the Nets' biggest fucking thing right now. Finding us five long term is the Nets' biggest thing, and that when I mean that, like we need a double machine. We need a 15 and 10 type guy, or a 10 points a game and 15 reads a game type guy, and that guy is to me is Andre Drummond. I know I spoke about if he did have cap, I'd go after Nurkic, but yeah, man, you know. Once again, I'm gonna end it out here because this is around the time I ended. Shout out to everybody who watches the podcast. Shout out to if you became a subscriber, you put me on the alerts, and it's only gonna get better from here. All I got left is talk about the one that I'm gonna try and do a Knicks Nets podcast, a show about the Knicks Nets podcast and what's going on, because I got a buddy of mine who's a Knicks fan who wants to talk. He's more realistic, when he talks, and I try to be realistic towards both sides too. I know it sounds like I got a lot of hate in my heart. It sounds like I got a lot of hate in my heart, and I don't. I just try to keep it as real as possible. You know what I mean? I love the game of basketball. I love the Brooklyn Nets. I don't hold any man in any higher regard as like a god, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like I see people like with this whole Kyrie situation, they hold him to this on this pedestal, and these guys aren't. Because at the end of the day, I just feel like I gotta explain myself when I talk about this. Is that at the end of the day, I work on an ambulance almost every single day. I come home, I pay the bills like my fellow first responders. You got kids, anybody. We strap our boots on, we go to work, we come home, and we want to enjoy basketball. You know what I mean? And this drama isn't it, and people aren't worth that headache and that drama, man. Because we come, I come from a place, especially working in EMS, where I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. You know what I mean? So when I see anything like this whole situation, man, I just have a different viewpoint. Maybe it's because I'm shocked from shit I've seen, but maybe I just like, damn son, like you ain't grateful at all for shit that you get to play a basketball game every single day of your life for millions of dollars. You know what I mean? And like I said, miss me with all that humanitarian shit, because he's not. Because if he was, he still wouldn't be playing for in honor of my fellow first responders who can't come back to work because the vaccine mandate is still on for us. You know what I mean? And I don't fall one way or another on the fucking issue. I don't care, man. It's just principle for me. That's all. The whole KD thing, love KD, man. Love KD as a player, man. I think he got that it factor. I don't give a fuck factor. And that little dog in him, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, the whole butt buddy thing just bothers me. So the whole super team thing, like I said before, the super team stuff always bothered me. Like I appreciate friends who want to play with friends. When it comes to this of what's going on right now, the Nets have no leadership. The Nets have no leadership, and the Nets need leadership so bad. I don't know. Kenny was that guy. Kenny was that voice, and Kenny got ousted. Kenny was that leader. And that's the shit that bothers me all the time, man. KD could be that leader now. KD be that leader by saying, you know what? Do what you gotta do with Kyrie. Do what you gotta do, whatever the fuck you wanna do. I'm gonna be here. I'm ready to win the ship. Now. I'm ready to win the ship now. Tell Ben Simmons come back. Tell Andre Drummond come back. Trade Kyrie, we'll figure that out, man. I'll be my buddy from afar. I get the business side of it. I understand what you guys are talking about. If he don't want to come on an incentive-laced deal, doesn't matter. Because I know cats like, oh, he never said that he wanted to leave New York or Brooklyn, whatever. I don't care. When you making a super max deal, why you wouldn't want to leave where you at, son? Why? Cats just stay in bumfuck Timbuktu if they got offered a 5-year, $300 million contract. I don't know how much Supermax is now, but just saying, you know what I mean? Like, And of course you gonna say you're not gonna want to leave, son. But it is what it is. If you don't want to sign a short incentive lease deal, you kind of made your bet and you show where you stand. It shows that you don't understand what you did these past 3 years. And like I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm going on these rants. I'm done going on these rants. Like, this is it. After June 29th, when that day comes, whatever happens, happens. I think, what are we on? I think it's 22nd, 23rd. But I think my next episode, when we go over the one, we should have a decision about what's going on. It should be clearer. And I might do an emergency podcast and see what's going on. You know what I mean? And once that gets announced, but I just want the resolve to this. I just want the end to this. You know what I mean? And it's a little dry with stuff to, besides that stuff to talk about. And after, like I said, after these 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 episodes, we'll do some next crosstalk. And then, we'll dive into some fun stuff with some numbers, and we'll break down a couple things. It's an honor being able to talk to you people who's out there, man. Be able to talk through YouTube, be able to be a voice for the to try and aspire to be a voice for the Brooklyn Nets. Because at the end of the day, there's not many. There's not many of Brooklyn Nets channels out there, and I don't think there's. I think from the Nets podcast, this is no disrespect, but from like a lot of Nets podcasts that I've seen, like, they're just all about, give Kyrie the 5 years so KD's happy, whatever. Like, I think we got to keep it real. We got to keep it a buck as Nets fans and understand, like, we got to do this shit the right way. At some point in time, something got to break for us. And I still got faith that we could break it down and build it back up before the Knicks ever figure this shit out. That I can guarantee you, my friends. But if you like the new logo, give me a thumbs up. Work hard on that. Trying to figure that out, man. I'm all new to this editing shit, whatever. I'm doing a lot of stuff on my phone. Laptop broke, but if you got any recommendations on software, whatever the case may be, I want to make this your home for everything Brooklyn Nets podcast. When the season come, I'm going to try and do at least 2 episodes a week. I get real busy, but I'm trying to do at least 2 episodes a week for you guys, ladies and gents. And, hopefully soon we can get mail in and all that. Like, we got big aspirations for this show. We got big aspirations for the podcast, and we're going to see it through. So share it with your friends. Tell your friends, share it with their friends, share it with your moms, your pops. Hit the subscribe button. Yo, if you don't know, now you know. This is episode 5. Next stop, Brooklyn Nets basketball. We're all we do. 99% Nets. Whoa! I'm sorry, Mr. Henney. 99% Nets. 1% everything else. I fucked up, guys. My bad. But yo, one love. Appreciate you guys. Don't kill me. Don't hurt me. You already know what it is. Brooklyn.